હવે દેખાય છે સ્ક્રીન? પીપીટી દેખાય છે ને હેનિક્ષા?
હા મેમ દેખાય છે.
શ્વેતા તને પણ દેખાય છે ને પીપીટી?
હા મેમ.
Okay, so I will start with the class now. Okay, so જો કોઈ પણ ટાઈમે કોઈ બી પ્રોબ્લેમ થાય, કઈ સ્ક્રીન પર દેખાતું ના હોય તો તમારો ઓડિયો ચાલુ છે શ્વેતા અને હેનિક્ષાનો, તો મને ઇન્ફોર્મ કરજો. ઓકે, so good morning everybody. Today I will talk about spina bifida. Okay, PT management for spina bifida. So before we start with that, let us see what is spina bifida. Spina bifida is a spinal condition which occurs in babies. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, there are two types of spine. On the right hand side you can see the normal spine. On the left hand side you can see spina bifida. So what is that? Vertebra is present in the anterior aspect, then meninges, spinal cord and spinal fluid is present. So it is the deformity which affects the meninges, spinal cord and as well as spinal fluid. And on the skin of posterior aspect, if you observe on observation, you can see lump formation on the posterior aspect of the lumbar region. So there are different types of spina bifida. One is meningomyelocele and one is meningocele. So you can see on the right hand side, this is your meningomyelocele. You can see my cursor, Shweta, on the screen.
Yes ma'am.
So this is on the left hand side, you can see meningomyelocele, and on the right hand side we can see the meningocele. Okay, so in the meningomyelocele there are two layers will be involved. In meningocele there is only one layer involvement. Okay, so let us see what is spina bifida or split spine. It is caused by incomplete closure of the neural tube. So it is the defect of the neural tube, usually in the lumbar or the sacral region. So you can see normally you have the vertebral body anteriorly, posteriorly we have the spinal cord, the CSF, that is the cerebrospinal fluid, and the meninges. But in case of spinal deformity, we can see on the right hand side there is no posteriorly, we cannot see the defect. There is defect, so spinous process as well as the posterior aspect of the vertebral body is not prominent. You can see on the skin there is some hair also. So on observation, if you observe, this kind of hair will be prominent on the lumbar region. So remember, spina bifida is a neural tube defect. So incidence, worldwide incidence is 1 to 2 cases in 1000 birds. So out of every 1000 birds, 1 to 2 cases will have spina bifida. Okay, so some, see, it depends on the ethnicity and race also. So in some country the prevalence is more than the other. So anatomy, in the spine we have cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum and coccyx region. This is the normal anatomy of the vertebra. We have the vertebral body, the pedicle, the transverse process, superior inferior articular facet and the spinous process. So on the right hand side we can see the lateral view of the vertebral body. On the left hand side we can see the superior aspect. Okay. So now anatomy. Anteriorly, we have the anterior ventral horn of the spinal cord. Then we have the anterior ventral root. Then we have the pia mater, the arachnoid mater, and the dura mater. Okay, these are the three matters of the spinal cord. So we have arachnoid mater, the dura mater, and we have inside the pia mater. And here we can see posterior dorsal root is there. Posterior dorsal horn is present, subarachnoid space is present. Okay, so this is the normal anatomy of your spinal column and the meninges. Take a screenshot on your screen. If this picture is visible, then take one screenshot of this. Okay, everybody can take a screenshot. Later on one person can send me. Okay, so this is the normal anatomy. Now types of spina bifida. Shweta, you can see this picture on the screen.
Yes ma'am.
Okay, so take one screenshot of this picture. Okay, so several classifications that vary in the severity depending on the location and the extent of opening. So there are different types of spina bifida. 1, 2, 3. What are the three types? Spina bifida occulta, spina bifida cystica, and spina bifida ventralis. Okay, now spina bifida cystica has two types, meningocele and myelomeningocele. So you can see in this picture the baby, small baby, is lying in the prone condition, and on the lower region, that is the lumbar lower region of the baby, you can see there is some protrusion, okay, from the skin. So this is spina bifida. It will look like this. So remember, there are three types of spina bifida: spina bifida occulta, spina bifida cystica, which is having two types, meningocele and myelomeningocele, and third type is the spina bifida ventralis. Now, spina bifida occulta, it is the hidden type of spina bifida. So the bony vertebra is open, but the spine is within the spinal canal. The skin may have a lipoma. Lipoma means small benign fatty tumor. Some discoloration that can be as present as a birthmark or a small tuft of hair overlying the spinal defect. Most patients with spina bifida occulta do not know that they have it, and there may be tethering of the spinal cord. So as you can see in this picture, we have the subarachnoid space, the spinal cord is present, dura mater is present, but posteriorly there is defect. Okay. So spine is within the spinal canal. It will not rupture the skin, and the deformity will not be out of the skin. It will be inside the skin, but on the outer aspect of the skin, you can only see hair tuft. So like this abnormal hair tuft will be present, but the deformity will be inside. So spina bifida occulta is inside the skin. So sometimes it is problematic for us to identify because defect is inside the spinal canal, inside the body of the patient, not outside. So we cannot clearly diagnose it. Okay. Only visible finding which we can see on observation is there will be hair tuft on the lumbar region. Okay. So that is why it is called as hidden type. Spina bifida occulta is called as hidden type. So spina bifida occulta, there will be tethered spinal cord, often occurs later in the life. It is caused by limitation of movement of the spinal cord within the spinal column. Patients often have low back pain, weakness in the legs, or incontinence depending on the site of the tethering. So we can see here in this picture, there will be lipomeningocele. So here you have the cyst inside the spinal canal. There will be cyst formation. Skin can be there normal on the outer aspect, but that region will be little bit swollen. So you can see the swelling in this region, and tuft of hair is also present. Fully formed spinal cord, we can see here spinal cord, nerve root, skin, fat, muscle, bone. So on the left hand side, what we are seeing is the normal picture. Normally it should be like this, but in the lipomeningocele on the right hand side, we can see there is abnormality. So spinal cord will be tethered, and this kind of tuft of hair and cyst formation will be visible. Next is spina bifida cystica, meningocele. Okay, so the bony vertebra is open. Part of the meninges is protruding out of the spinal canal. So remember, meningocele means, as the word describes, the meninges. The meninges of the spinal cord will be protruding out of the spinal canal. Since the spinal cord is not protruding, there is often normal function. So function can be normal because only the meninges are protruding out. Some cases of tetherina have been reported. So you can see in this picture, here you have in the center, we have the spinal cord. Then there will be swelling. So CFS, that is the cerebrospinal fluid, that will be increase in that region, and meninges. Okay, meninges can be protruding out of the spinal canal. So like this swelling will be there inside. So remember, meningocele means meninges will protrude out of the spinal canal. Spina bifida cystica, myelomeningocele. Myelomeningocele means the bony vertebra is open. Part of the meninges and part of all the spinal cord is protruding out of the spinal canal. So in myelomeningocele, meninges plus spinal cord both are protruding. In case of meningocele, only meninges were protruding, but in case of myelomeningocele, both the meninges as well as the part of the spinal cord. Two things are protruding out of the spinal canal. So since the spinal cord is protruding, it is often not fully developed. So spinal cord, it is protruding out, right, which is not normal for a patient. So the function of the spinal cord will not be proper. Involved nerve roots are often not developed, resulting weakness, pain, and paralysis. So what kind of signs and symptoms we can see? We can see the weakness, pain, and the paralysis. Next is spina bifida cystica myelomeningocele. Okay, same thing. So Arnold-Chiari malformation 2 is often associated with myelomeningocele and occurs when the cerebellum is forced downward. So this can result in life-threatening situation because of the buildup of the CSF. It can cause pressure in the brain. And patient with Arnold-Chiari malformation often require placement of a shunt to drain the excess fluid. So you can see in this picture, inside the brain there will be CSF pressure buildup. CSF fluid will accumulate inside the brain. Okay, so that is very common in case of myelomeningocele. So we will require a shunt. A shunt has to be put in place to drain the excess fluid. Okay, next. Spina bifida ventralis, that is called as the anterior opening. So whatever we have seen till now, meningocele and myelomeningocele, it is having the posterior defect. The defect is on the posterior aspect of the vertebral body. Okay, but here there is anterior defect, so much less common than the other forms of spina bifida. So this is less common compared to the posterior defect types, which is the myelocele and the meningomyelocele. Meningeal sac will protrude into the retroperitoneal space and impinge on the retroperitoneal organs such as the duodenum, ascending and descending colon, kidneys, adrenal glands, pancreas, aorta, and inferior vena cava. So anteriorly, anterior to the vertebral body, what all structures are present? These structures: duodenum, ascending colon, descending colon, kidneys, and all. So it will impinge and pressure on the anterior structures of the abdominal cavity. I am audible, right, Heniksha and Shweta?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you can see this picture, picture A and picture B. You can see clearly that the baby is having spina bifida. Okay, so if you see the baby and baby is having like this protrusion on the posterior aspect of the spinal column, you can see some kind of protrusion on the skin, then you can make sure some higher investigation can be done like CT scan and MRI, and if it looks like this on observation, then we know that the baby is having spina bifida. So causes of spina bifida. So exact cause is not known, unknown it is. All research to date has indicated both genetic and environment influence can be there. The development process that results in spina bifida is well studied. So now causes, it is a neural tube defect when the neural tube fails to properly close during the 4th week of embryogenesis. So when the fetus is inside, the conception has taken place inside the uterus, and when the parts of the neural tube is forming inside the uterus, then by the 4th week, if the neural tube is not developing properly inside the embryogenesis process will not take place properly, then it will result in the spina bifida, that is the disease. Okay, so remember, this is not the disease that the baby develops after being born. This disease, it will happen by the 4th week. Okay, by the 4th week, when the baby is forming inside the uterus, by the 4th week, if embryogenesis is not proper, then this neural tube defect will develop. So you can see development of spina bifida in utero. So in uterus, how it is developing? You can see 21 days. So after the conception, okay, if there is conception inside the uterus, so after the conception on 21 days, it should be like this. The head will be there in the superior direction. Middle you will have the back formation. 22 days it will look like this, the middle picture, and 28 days. Okay, so instead of closure, this thing should close in the lumbar region. You can see the third picture after 28 days. Spina bifida, it is a defect, it is not closing, right? So there should be this neural tube, ideally it should close, but it is not closing and it is remaining open. That is causing the spina bifida. Okay, so by 28 days, we can see here, see on the superior aspect, all this is closed. But here in the lumbar region, this you can see this defect is there, this is not closed and it is open. So that will give rise to spina bifida. So what would prevent the neural tubes from closing properly? Folate, your iron, okay? Iron tablets are prescribed to the ladies who are pregnant in the starting from the early weeks and before when they are planning for the pregnancy. That time only folate tablets and iron content should be given. So if there is decrease in the iron content in the body, that can give rise to spina bifida and neural tube defect. Genetics also can play a role. Mothers with one child with spina bifida have an increased risk of additional children having spina bifida. So if one child is having spina bifida, then the chances are more that the second child may also have it. Okay. So folate, remember there can be iron deficiency. Folate is less in the body, then it can give rise to spina bifida. Next is valproic acid, okay, oral medication used to treat seizures, convulsion, migraine and bipolar disorder. So if the mother is having any kind of seizure, convulsion, migraine, and because of that she is taking any tablet, bipolar mood disorder she has, and she is taking this kind of valproic acid tablets, then it can give rise to neural tube defect. Then mechanism of action, thought to increase the GABA levels in the brain. So what it does, if she is taking this kind of tablet, then it will increase the GABA levels in the brain. Okay, pregnant women taking valproic acid have an increased risk of children having spina bifida. So what medication they are taking during pregnancy, that also plays a major role. Clinical pictures of spina bifida. So primary clinical pictures and secondary clinical pictures. Okay, so what they have? Primarily, they have somatosensory loss, motor paralysis means muscle weakness will be there, loss of bowel and bladder control, and changes in the muscle tone will be there. Motor level, okay, so lesion of the level, so depends. L4, see, we have in the lumbar L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. So where is the lesion? Vertebral level, where is the lesion? Depending on that, they will show the symptom. So above L3, if the lesion is there, then what kind of disability will be seen? Complete paraplegia will be there, anesthesia, bladder incontinence, okay, and patient will be non-ambulatory, means they won't be able to walk. L4 and below means same as above. Whatever we have seen for L3, same thing will be there. And plus hip flexor, hip adductors, knee extensor will be weak. Ambulatory means with aids means baby will require either walker or stick, and bracing can be required, orthopedic surgery can be required. If the defect is at S1 and below, so motor level, lesion level is S1 and below, so same like L4 symptoms will be there, except preservation of the feet dorsiflexion and partial preservation of hip extensor and knee extensor. Ambulation with minimal aids. S3 and below, normal lower extremity motor function will be there, saddle anesthesia will be there, and variable bladder and rectal incontinence will be there. So in your book, physical rehabilitation book of O'Sullivan, different kind of levels are given. Okay, for spinal cord injury, different kind of levels are given. That if the spinal cord defect is at this level, then what will happen? So there is ASIA scale. So you have to read about that ASIA scale from your Sullivan book, okay, on physical rehabilitation. Sensory loss, you can see these are the segments which will have sensory loss, T4, T10, L1, L2, L3. So dermatomes and myotomes will be affected. Enlarged head causes, okay, there will be hydrocephalus. You know what is hydrocephalus? There will be presence of water in the brain. Okay, CSF buildup will be there inside the brain. Okay, so Arnold-Chiari malformation too also can be present. So baby will also have the, if the baby is having neural tube defect and having spina bifida, then hydrocephalus also can be present. So you see, this is the hydrocephalus. The picture is clear, Shweta, on your screen? Yes. Okay, fine. So VP shunt, we can see VP shunt done in 85 to 90% of the MMC, most commonly due to obstruction of the CSF flow. Okay, so we can see these pictures which is showing that the baby is having hydrocephalus. That is the increased water content inside the brain, or we can say increased CSF inside the brain. So remember, hydrocephalus can be present in case of spina bifida. So this is the picture. Shunt system, we have to put the shunt. So what is the shunt? This is the catheter, okay, valve will be here, this is your brain. So CSF, the extra fluid or CSF, it will drain, the system will drain it, so tubing to the abdominal cavity. So from here all the fluid will come down here in this tube and it will come in the abdominal cavity. This is your heart and tubing may lead to the heart. So what will happen when we are putting the shunt? This kind of surgery will be required. So in this surgery, what the doctor will do? Doctor will put one kind of shunting system inside the body of the baby. So what he will put? He will put like this. It is just a tube. Okay, so this tube will, the catheter will be put here. So that catheter will drain all the excessive water or CSF from the brain. It will come down like this and it will come here in the abdominal cavity. So Arnold-Chiari malformation, you can see here herniated cerebellum. This is seen in the MRI image. This is herniated cerebellum. Now see, this is the normal brain. Here we have the cerebellum and the spinal cord. Arnold-Chiari malformation, you can see the cerebellum is there but it is swollen. Third ventricle, you can see there is some swelling over third ventricle. Then cerebellar vermis will get affected. So in case of Arnold-Chiari type 2 malformation is there, that can be also associated with spina bifida. So what is Arnold-Chiari type 2 malformation? It is the medulla pons fourth ventricle cerebellar vermis herniated into the cervical spinal canal. So all this your spinal cord contains, that is the medulla, the pons, the ventricles, fourth ventricle and cerebellar vermis, it will get herniated. Herniated means it will protrude and go inside the spinal canal. Ideally this content should be inside the brain. But what will happen because of the deformity, this content will go inside the cervical canal. So 80 to 90% cases will have this kind of symptom. Sometimes it can be symptomatic, otherwise it can be asymptomatic also. So it should be treated as an emergency condition. Surgical decompression operation is required. Okay. Otherwise, if these contents are pressing on the spinal cord in the cervical canal, then patient can go for respiratory paralysis and patient can die. Urinary and bowel and bladder symptoms will be there. Okay, so we have seen this spina bifida is affecting the lumbar region from L1 to L5. So definitely the nerves which are passing through L1 to L5, which is giving your innervation to your bowel and bladder, so that will be abnormal. So we can see urinary incontinence problem and bowel incontinence will be present. Next is, this is the artificial urinary sphincter. So this kind of sphincter also can be inserted. Okay. So bowel symptoms, we will have incontinence, constipation can be there. So how to manage it? We can give enema, habit training, biofeedback can be given. Okay. Then suppositories can be given, digital stimulation. All these are the means by which we are managing the bowel symptoms. Musculoskeletal, we can see deformity. If the patient is having spina bifida, then possibility that they will have scoliosis, deformity. Joint and extremity, okay, joint contracture, club foot, hip subluxation, and diminished growth of the non-weight bearing limb also can be present. What is abnormal? Abnormal or damaged nerve tissue which can lead to loss of extroceptive and proprioceptive sensation. So we all know that your nerves are giving you the sensation. It is giving kinesthesia, it is giving proprioception. But in case of spina bifida, we have already seen that there is defect in the spinal cord. That means there will be defect in the nerves which are passing through that region. So we will have loss of proprioception, loss of sensation, loss of kinesthesia. So you can see in this clear X-ray, spine scoliosis is present. Okay, so plain spine films to measure the scoliosis. This image is clear, Shweta, on your screen, mobile screen. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So
Yes,
this kind of scoliosis will be seen. Okay, in patients who are having spina bifida, they can have associated scoliosis. Skin breakdown can be there, obesity, allergy can be there, osteoporosis, decubitus ulcer they may have. Okay, so what we have to do to manage spina bifida? Screening and diagnosis should be done, treatment, follow-up and observation and prevention. So screening and diagnosis, prenatal test we have to do, like we can do ultrasound, we can do testing of the amniotic fluid, prenatal. Okay. Evaluation. So we have to take the medical history, as we have already seen that one baby is having spina bifida, then chances are more that the second baby will also have. Physical examination should be done. Evaluation of critical body system should be done. Imaging, we have to do X-ray, ultrasound, CT scan, MRI, and gait analysis. So these are the diagnostic method. Treatment. So there is no cure for this. Regular checkup should be done with the physician. Surgery should be done, but surgery should be done 24 hours after the birth, because it is an emergency condition and the child may also die. So the surgery should be done as soon as possible. Medication should be given and physiotherapy we can give. But first there should be medical management. Medical management using the drugs as well as the surgery. Okay, so surgery, in some cases, the spinal cord is exposed to the environment or tethered. Surgery is performed in order to cover the spinal cord with muscle and skin. Then in utero surgery has also become an option. So I have told you, in spina bifida, the content of the spinal cord will protrude out of the spinal canal. So what the surgeon will do? Surgeon will fix it. So whatever protruded contents are there, he will try to repair it and put it back into the spinal column. So surgery for spina bifida involves variety of non-surgical orthopedic and neurological procedure. So closure of the defect of the spinal cord, then spinal deformity reconstruction. He has to reconstruct the spinal cord because all the content is out, it is protruding in the spinal canal. So he has to reconstruct that, and lower extremity deformity correction should be done. You see, this is the picture. In utero surgery has also become a viable option for some cases. In utero means when the infant, when the baby is inside the uterus, and they will perform the surgery. Okay. So in utero surgery also in advanced phase, right now we are having the technology, and according to recent advances, we are also performing in utero surgery for spina bifida. Medical treatment, antibiotics should be given to prevent the CNS infection, and urinary tract infection is there, then again we can give antibiotic. Physical therapy, okay, physical therapy to improve the gross motor milestone. We know there is gross motor milestone. श्वेता, ग्रॉस मोटर माइलस्टोन सिखाया है तुम लोगों को न्यूरो में? सिखाया है ना? हाँ, तो टू इम्प्रूव द ग्रॉस मोटर माइलस्टोन वी हैव टू treat the baby with physiotherapy treatment. So establish the baseline of the muscle function. As the child develops, the physical therapist monitors the joint alignment, the muscle imbalance, contracture, posture, and signs of progressive neurological dysfunction. Orthotic positioning devices to prevent soft tissue contracture. Means suppose he is developing elbow flexion contracture or hip flexion contracture, then we can give some orthosis which will support the joint, and it will prevent the contracture formation, and it will support the joint to be in an optimal position. So sitting, patient is not having sitting balance, then we have to improve the sitting. Head and trunk control we have to improve. Then independent ability in conjunction with therapeutic exercises. And for patients who are not likely to become ambulatory, place emphasis on developing proficiency in wheelchair skills. So those children who can still ambulate, we can give them walking aids like walker and all. Those who are not at all able to ambulate themselves, then we have to teach them the wheelchair skills. Okay. So next is walker can be given. Okay. So pre-gait training should begin. Walking aids you have learned in the second year. Walking aids, how to walk with the crutch, how to walk with the walker, with the stick, and how to use the wheelchair. So all this training should be given to the child. Exercise or household distance ambulation may be pursued with the use of traditional long braces. Okay. So there is something called as hip, knee, ankle, foot orthosis, and KAFO, that is knee, ankle, foot orthosis. So orthosis we can give to the patient to prevent the deformity and to help in ambulation. You can see this picture. Patient is using the hip, knee, ankle, foot orthosis, and he is able to become he is able to stand in erect standing position. Another picture you can see the girl is in standing position, but she is wearing orthosis. So like this orthosis we can give to help them in standing position. Okay, so like this devices also we can give. Parapodium, you can see foot plate is there, then front panel is there, shoe retainer is there, knee pad, knee extension assist. So if they are not able to maintain the knee into extension like this, or like this knee extension assisting also will be there in that. So we can use this kind of devices for the patient. Occupational therapy can be given to the patient, okay, so they can improve their activities of daily living. Upper extremity stabilization, then postural mechanism or substitute for passive movement support, if necessary, to promote the eye-hand coordination and manipulatory skills. So eye-hand coordination is the child is developing, they should have good eye-hand coordination. So all we have to work on all this. So it will be a complete pediatric rehabilitation program should be followed for the patient with spina bifida. When adequate fine motor skills have been achieved, the occupational therapist provides instruction for the use of adaptive equipment. Recreational therapy also can be given, okay. So they are having the mobility restraint and physical limitation. So with their physical limitation, how much activity they can do, that can be given to the patient. This inactivity decreases the potential for for normal development in all spheres and can exert a negative impact on self esteem. So suppose if we are not giving any kind of recreational activity to the child, then child will become introvert and he will not function properly. All his activities will be limited. So his development, and it will affect his development and growth. So that is why we have to engage the child in different kind of recreational activities. Okay, so for the infant and toddler with myelomeningocele, recreational therapy enhances the opportunities for environmental exploration and interaction with other children. For the school-age child, recreational therapy provides opportunities for participation in the adapted sports and exercise program, which can result in long-term interest in personal fitness and health. So if they are going to see this kind of child, if they are having severe deformity, we can send them to special schools. Like you were going for posting in Sathi special school, right? So there different kind of children were coming with different kind of disability. So we can send them to special school and the special training can be given to them. So fitness goals, we have to improve their socialization, improve their weight control, fitness level we have to improve, okay, aerobic capacity, cardiovascular fitness. So the child should be kept physically active. And recreational therapy is helpful for promoting the independence with adult living skills, okay. So follow-up should be done every 1 month. You can ask them for follow-up. So children with myelomeningocele often have hydrocephalus. So they may present with blindness. MR is mental retardation, inability to speak, paralysis, and convulsion. Any changes in the mental status or behavior should be quickly brought to the attention of the child physician. Means if you notice that there is any changes in the mental status of the child or any behavioral changes in the child, then immediately you have to take them to the doctor. So how it can be prevented? Okay, so recommended that women of childbearing age take 400 micrograms of folate. So childbearing age women should take 400 microgram of folate per day, okay, to prevent this kind of deformity. Pregnant women should take 600 micrograms of folate per day. So childbearing age, those who are not pregnant, they can take 400 micrograms of folate per day. And pregnant women who are expecting the child, they can take at least 600 microgram of folate per day to prevent this spina bifida. Women with a previous child with spina bifida should take 4000 microgram of folate per day. Folate can decrease the risk of spina bifida by 75%. So if they are taking this regular folate intake, then spina bifida, risk of spina bifida can decrease up to 75%. So success, see, you have to increase your nutrition and diet also. So only on the tablet you should not rely. You should take the vegetables and grains. So many foods are enriched with folate. So most multivitamins contain folate and some vitamins are specifically formulated for women. So we have to see that they are maintaining proper diet, healthy diet they should take. Social impact, okay, so prognosis and any deficits are dependent on the level of involvement. Next is, all this is not important. So with proper treatment, individuals will live well into the adulthood. That is it. So if you have this book, tackling book, Okay, that is for pediatric rehabilitation. All the neurological rehabilitation for pediatrics is given well in this Tackling book. So if you have the book, then please read from it. Shweta, you are having the book Tackling?
No, ma'am.
No? Then maybe you can ask Irshad sir if he has it PDF, or if I have, then I will send you. Okay. Now don't go. Wait here. Nobody will leave the meeting. Just be there.